Hello, my name is Steve, the Affordable Life Coach. And if you're interested in coaching, send me an email. The consultation's absolutely free and the sessions are ridiculously affordable afterwards. Today, we're going to talk about a really valuable topic that a lot of us are not taught when we're younger. That so many people that we engage with are dysfunctional, toxic, narcissistic, sociopathic, psychopathic, extremely selfish, close minded, damaged, broken, will gaslight you, will try, will try to manipulate you, will try to control you, will try to shame and guilt you. And the best thing we can do with these type of people is to disengage. Don't get caught up in their web. And that's what they want to do. They want to suck you into the web. They want to suck you into putting you on the defensive. That's why when I'm coaching clients, one of the most important things, skill sets that I can teach a client and that they can practice and implement in the real world is stop becoming defensive. When you become defensive, you are advertising on a billboard, I need your approval. That's why I'm becoming defensive, because I'm trying to convince you to look favorably upon me, to like me, to not judge me, to think I'm special, to think I'm good, to think I'm skilled, to not see my fears, insecurities, or imposter syndrome. A calm, cool, unrattled energy is powerful. It sends a message to people. And when we're emotionally reactive, we show such weakness and we show such a lack of depth of the subject or argument or the persuasive thing we're trying to convince someone of, or they're trying to convince us of. And that's there's like been an explosion of nuttiness in the world, on the internet, when it comes to political discourse, spiritual discourse, religious discourse. Some people are just so indoctrinated, propagandized, close-minded, that they can't even look at things from a different perspective than what they've been brainwashed and conditioned to believe. And I love the quote that it's easier to fool someone than to convince someone that they've been fooled. And most people are just getting short sound bites. People don't read books anymore, or very few people read books anymore. And so they're just getting what the mainstream corporate propagandist media is, and social media and the influencers that they might follow, what they're being bombarded with. And you'll notice it's in catchphrases, catchwords. You're racist, you're phobic, you're a bad person, you have special privilege because of some superficial metric in which we are determining that you didn't have any struggles or suffering in your life because of the color of your skin. There is so much nuttiness going on in the world, and we are just falling like a tsunami. It's sweeping all of us up into the cultural brainwashing and wanting to be part of the group so people don't speak up. Some of my clients will talk about things that they cannot say at work, like just small things, like you can't ask an Asian person for help with a math problem because that's considered racist. And everything has gone so extreme, and the word loses its meaning. And when you're talking with someone that has been significantly indoctrinated through repetition, and that's the greatest way to condition someone to believe something that is not at all true or is half truth mixed, and that's really the most effective. You have a little bit of truth infused with a lot of lies. When you have been bombarded over and over, and that's just the way you condition a populace or a group of people, is just repetition, repetition. And even if it's not true, eventually we just think it's true. And we don't critically think. We don't question things. That was something, and I made videos of this on the past, and this is something that I really encourage in coaching sessions, whether on the right or whether on the left or whatever your particular religious or spiritual viewpoint is, be open-minded, be curious. Don't just shut someone down because you have these preconceived notions and perceptions that what they believe is wrong, and then you judge them and then you shut them down. I was watching an interview with Elon Musk, and the BBC was interviewing Elon Musk, and they also interviewed Andrew Tate. And you can see these reporters, they're not reporters. They're propagandists. They are ideologues that are coming in with an agenda to the interview. And whether you agree with Elon Musk or Andrew Tate, that's not the point. The point is, if you watch those things, it's shocking to see the vitriol and the anger and the resentment and the self-righteousness. You're wrong, I'm right, and I need to browbeat you into believing my way of thinking. And it creates such division, and it really doesn't build bridges. It doesn't foster communication that is constructive and conducive to finding common ground or to being open to educating someone to your point of view. There's just a non-receptivity, and we are othering the other person. And you could see these reporters in those interviews. If you want the full interview of Andrew Tate, it's really intense. And I'm not saying he's an angel or not, but you could just see the intensity, and she at the end refused to even shake his hand. She was so upset because he pushed back, and and Elon Musk in that interview with the BBC reporter, he pushed back as well. And people are not those types of people that come with an agenda and a self-righteousness. And the sad thing, the reporters and their lack of knowledge is shocking, and they come in with a lack of knowledge, and they're not well researched, and they just regurgitate these buzzwords and talking points that are empty and shallow and vacuous, and don't address the more nuanced, contextualized point of view and perspective. It's black or white. It's like, oh, everything is now hate speech, and there's no nuance. And everything now that one side doesn't like is classified as misinformation or disinformation, with no nuance, no structure, not even asking the question, what good has come from restricting free speech? Like, show me in society and cultures or countries where that has led to a greater good when we restrict people from being able to speak freely. That is a scary thing that we should panic us all. And it's so easy to just jump on board because, oh, it's Trump. I don't like Trump, so he should be censored. Or it's, somebody on the left that's too far the left. I don't like, someone says, I don't like certain things Bernie Sanders has said in the past when he used to have a backbone. So let's censor what he says. We're spiraling down the drain and we don't even realize it. And I want to take that as an example to our own personal lives, because we come up against people like this in our workplace, coworkers, friends, family members that use strong arm tactics to shut us down. And I even get this with some clients. I'm just trying to be open, transparent with some of my clients and share honestly things with them that they're not going to, most likely, they're not going to hear from anybody else or give them a different perspective on the way to look at things that they have that goes against their preconceived, indoctrinated, or self-righteous belief system. And once you see someone become emotional and indignant and self-righteous and labeling, oh, those group of people, they're all bad, they did all these wrong things, they are evil people, run for the hills. You are not talking with a person who's calm, logical, rational, and cares about the facts. And to some degree, you might be doing this. There's areas of my life that I might be doing this, and it's something I really have to be vigilant for because it stunts our growth. It stunts our intellectual, emotional, and psychological growth if we become cult-like in that we're not open to hearing anybody else's different opinion. And the crazy thing is, even people that are atheists or agnostic I've talked to, they become cult-like in their ideology and their belief system. And it's just, they're missing out. And I'm not saying, Christians or other religions, they don't become cult-like. That's not not at all what I'm saying. I'm not trying to paint a broad brush. I'm not saying all people who have these types of viewpoints are cult-like, but when you see it, and you could see it pretty quickly, they're not receptive. They're like in those interviews I told you about, they're only trying to put down whatever you believe or show that you're wrong or show that your arguments are wrong or show that you're a bad person or show that what you believe is incorrect or illogical or irrational. Let's just have conversations. And that's why I love watching independent creators, YouTubers that are reporters that don't work for the mainstream legacy media, and from both sides that have an independent, fresh perspective and a hunger for what is true. And you can, as you live your life with more integrity, honesty, openness, receptivity, and curiosity, you start being able to detect bullshit. It's much, much easier to detect bullshit when you become a person who is congruent with those types of values. And the challenge is most of us are not. We've gotten so far off track from deep values that our country was founded upon. And now I'm not talking about slavery and all those things. I'm just talking about community. I'm talking about being truthful. I'm talking about family. I'm talking about generosity, caring for other people, empathy. I'm talking about having real conversations, reading stuff that gives us depth, that we have an ability to dive deep into subject matters, to have deeper connections with people. It's dying. It is so challenging to have a deep, meaningful conversation. And when you talk to people that are ideologues, you can see it. They will just try to attack you, shut you down, want to censor you, or label you. And when they label you, they don't have, either the argument doesn't stand the test of scrutiny, or they just don't have the ability to debate the issue because their knowledge is so superficial from just watching stuff on their screens or the mainstream media or the propaganda. And we're missing out. And also, we just don't have deep connections because everybody's, all like a majority of communications now done through your phone or through a screen. And it's the shallowness and the insensitivity that we've developed towards each other is really tearing us apart. And meanwhile, we're focusing on each other and dividing And those empowered do whatever they want because it's a smokescreen, it's a red herring to get us, the divide and conquer. And what a great way to divide us by something as superficial as the color of our skin. It's a brilliant strategy that sadly so many people fall for. And we don't want to fall for that in our personal lives. We want to get down to what is a person made of? What is their character? What is their energy like? What is their soul like? What are their values like? Are they a person that is self-centered? Are they a person that is honest? Is the person that has some depth? Is the person that is going to help us? Is there a person that we can connect to? But just life is very, it can be short and it can be very long, but energy, let's just say energy is very limited. Don't waste your energy on these type of people. The moment I see someone, and it doesn't matter what the topic is, if I'm trying to have a deep conversation with them, or I'm trying to have a conversation with them where I'm curious about their point of view or their perspective, even if I adamantly disagree, and they get emotional, they get irate, and sometimes it doesn't have to be they're yelling, or you could just tell there's a wall. Everything you say is just bouncing off. Well, what about this? Well, that's wrong. Well, why didn't you think about this? Or how could you believe that because of this? They're shutting you out. They're not open. Move on. I'm not saying you don't have to be friends with them or you don't have to talk with them, but just don't waste your breath on topics that they're not going to be receptive towards. It enervates us, it drains us, and there's no value out of it if a person is not receptive. And we don't want to let people dictate the terms of the discussion. They dictate the terms in the sense, if you watch those interviews that I was talking about, the questions they ask is to negatively paint the people they're interviewing in a dark cloud. The questions they ask is to get the audience to associate this person as someone bad, or someone who's racist, or someone who's misogynistic. And there's no good intent. There's not a good intention. Like, if someone is truly like that, you don't have to label them. It will come out organically, naturally. People will be able to see it through their character, through their actions. And don't let them bully you, because that's what they want. Like, people in your life, and if you might have a few people, you might have a lot of people like this, but if you ever start feeling like this person's trying to shame me, this person's trying to gaslight me, this person's trying to guilt me, this person's trying to put me down, this person's trying to manipulate me, this person's trying to control me, this person doesn't care about me, this person's not interested in my perspective, just shut it down. This person is labeling me, this person is extremely emotional, and you can't have a calm, rational conversation with them. Disengage. And change the subject, or just leave the arena. It's just not worth it, because then it becomes an ego battle. And one of the things when I'm coaching clients is getting them to open up, be receptive, have a critical perspective, and like questioning everything, doing a deep internal, spiritual, emotional, psychological dive into who they are, and if how they've been living their lives is actually working and is constructive, like shaking things up. And we hang around people often, most of the time, that think just like us and validate our own self-delusions, or don't call us out on our bullshit, or don't shine the light on our blind spots. And that's what I love about coaching clients. And they can do that to me. It can happen to me where I don't, in the coaching process, I realize my own blind spots. And that's the only way to grow. And if you're so adamantly against something, like, that says a lot. That's something that you need to reflect on. Why do I feel so adamantly against it? Why do I have such an emotionally charged response? Because the worst thing is just to be indifferent. But when you adamantly don't like someone and there's a vitriol, or don't like something someone said or what they believe, that says more about you than what the other person believes. And it's a very narrow-minded way of living. And since I was young, I've always been curious. I've studied and read about and talked with people of all different cultures, all different religions, and I just had a curious mind. I want to have an open mind. I want to find the truth that works for me and that I believe is the truth. But again, be open to having it being challenged without having to censor the person or shut them down or get angry at them, because, like I said, it's wasted energy. And then you're just growing, you're learning. Every day becomes something exciting. What can I learn today? Because I'm curious. I have a curious mindset. I read books that might challenge what my deeply held beliefs. I expose myself to people that might think differently than what I believe. We don't have, like, the crisis in this country is a crisis of thought. It's a crisis of free thinking. It's a crisis of people who think uniquely, who think critically, who think independently. Because the superficial approach, just based on someone's sexual orientation or color of skin, doesn't mean that they're a good person inside, or doesn't mean that they're going to be the best person for the job, or they're skilled at the job. And it's more important, like, I don't care about the color of skin. What I care about is, how does this person navigate life? How does this person treat other people? How does this person come to their beliefs? Does this person have independent thought? Is this person creative? Is this person caring? That, to me, is this person a hard worker? Is this person committed? Is this person able to escape groupthink? To me, that is way more important than just surrounding myself with people that might have different color of skin, but think just like I do and reaffirm exactly what I believe. What fun is that? It's like, you're not going to grow. You need iron sharpening iron, and we don't get that unless we seek out people who challenge and are independent and think differently than we do, but are still willing to have a conversation about it that is healthy, that is curious, and that is receptive. Those are the most important things. So please, do yourself a favor. Don't get in these political debates, these religious debates, these philosophical debates with someone that is like talking to a wall, is closed off, and is passionately, adamantly against you and what you believe. It's a minefield that you don't need to cross. And the way we do this is being bold, because really that's what these types of personalities only understand, is when you're bold, when you're set boundaries, when you're confident, when you're courageous, when you're not seeking out like a weak, meek little puppy dog for them to pet you and for them to approve of you and for them to not be upset with you. Oh, okay, give me a pat on the head. And then we can't understand why we have social anxiety. We can't understand why we live in fear. We can't understand why we feel so much insecurity or a lack of self-worth. That's a whole nother topic, but you get the point. Is be courageous, be respectful, be polite, but be bold in your communication, and be selective in your communication. Don't waste the energy, don't waste the stress, don't waste the aggravation. There are times that I have made this mistake, and this video is a lesson from my experiences as a coach. Because there are some people, I get some clients that have been so indoctrinated by propaganda, and I'll try to just share, hey, a different perspective or a way to critically look at this, or some books that they can read, and it just goes in one ear out the other. And so I'll test the waters, and I'll see if it's something that they're wanting to explore, or I'll get some clients that are extremely defensive, and so I'll try exploring that with them. Hey, one of the best things that I did is I went to a workshop, and we'd spend hours on this, where we would go around. So there'd be half the group was standing, half the group was sitting. We would go around, and they would attack us. And they knew us because we'd been in the workshop. I think it was like a 2-week workshop. So it's like we knew each other, and they would say things that would just hit the heart. Like it would sting. It would be painful. And it was conditioning us not to be reactive. Just because someone says something to you, one, doesn't mean it's true. And even if it is true, it says more about you than them. They're not the ones at fault. It's you have an insecurity or fear or weakness about what they're saying. If someone says you're not smart, how could you say, or they say you're dumb, how could you say that? That hurts my feelings, and that's so, like, you're giving your power away. Don't do that. Say, okay, and if you have a reaction to it, you got to look at yourself. Well, why do I feel that way? Why am I insecure? Why am I reacting that way to what they said? And you go, oh, maybe it's because I spend, too much time on Netflix, or I'm not reading books, or I'm not questioning things. I'm not learning new things. I'm not learning things outside of my regular sphere of knowledge. And I did that when I was a teen, and it just taught me, like, when we're defensive, it says so much about you and not the other person. And we're not victims. And in today's culture, they're wanting to turn everyone into a victim. And that's how when you turn someone into a victim, you keep them powerless. The way to overcome victimhood is stop blaming other people. And that includes your family, your friends. Be bold in your conversation. Examine your own bullshit, examine your own weaknesses, examine your own wounds, and start healing. And if you'd like help with that, there's nothing better than having someone to support you, guide you, and help you through this path in your life. Email me. My email address is in the description. Like I said, the consultation is absolutely free. There's no obligation, session by session, and the coaching prices are ridiculously affordable. And I'd be curious what your thoughts are on this video, and how you have gotten caught up in groupthink and hysteria. And one of the most effective ways is create fear in people. When you create fear in people or a populace, they're so much more easier to control, because they'll do anything. They'll give their freedom away. They'll bow at the altar of safety, security, and comfort. And we do that as individuals in our everyday lives on a small scale. We value safety, security, and comfort at the expense of boldness, courage, freedom, independent thought, and practicing our own free will. We're now practicing, when we do that, we're practicing the free will of other people. So curious and appreciate your comments. You want to support the channel, there's a PayPal link in the description. And if you want to see more videos, like and subscribe, and please do share. Help spread this very small channel grow a little bit more if you think this content is valuable. Thanks for watching, And yeah, you could tell I'm very passionate about this topic, and I look forward to the next video. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.